Hi, welcome. It's time for state of my art report for this week, or technically last week. I'm soon going to have to do another one. But anyways, I've been busy traveling and getting acclimated to European time and everything and meeting up with people. So anyways, I want to say welcome. I am Maud in Art, also known as Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, and I am going to talk about my art project that I started to I was hoping to make money from it, but actually I ended up not. And it was a painting course that I was running way back in 2014. So I guess, about 10 years ago, called Just Paint. And then I even started a drawing one called Just Draw. And that I was doing with a friend of mine. But anyways, I'd like to explain about how I got to Just Paint and where it all came from. So first off, I was starting to do artwork again. My daughter was finally well after 2 times being diagnosed with leukemia, and I felt it was okay for me to get back into art, that I could focus on my things rather than just on her health and making sure that she was able to have a normal life somewhat. So it was kind of safe for me to get back to work. And so then I started my N-Art project and getting into the art world in Switzerland. It was also I guess that's just it. So we got, I think, my website up and running, which is now down and no longer in use. Back in, I think, 2012, around there. And we were slowly getting my artwork online a little bit and contemplating how to do this whole thing. So without having any education in computers, of course, I was learning by doing. And so really, on computers, I'm self-taught. That's the only way to say it. And my husband at the time, he was also learning how to put a website together and so on. So anyways, we were doing what we were doing. And then the website started. And then I started messing around with the computer. With PowerPoint was my thing of choice. And or Paint. What Microsoft had something called Paint, I think. And so I was just making up various images of different sorts. Computer graphics. And it was fun, but I didn't know really where I was going with it. And my camera at the time was also making kaleidoscope pictures, so I was doing that a little bit. And just messing around with things. I was trying to get inspired because I needed to get back into art so I could create some artworks that could be what I wanted to create. And ultimately, I guess this is a good one to show you of my more recent style that I am doing now with smiles and paint and images and like this. So this is a smile cloud. It's called Children of a Less Known God from 2018. And it's a collage of sorts. It's a little bit the golden calf was the concept, and how that was worshipped once and maybe still is today. But yeah, so that's part of my current project that I'm still working on called Smile for Peace, It's Enough Already, where it's about bringing different religions together in a peaceful way so that we can coexist without war and without hate. And so I was going through all the various God concepts that I know about and bringing them into at least one image or more. And this was one of them, the golden calf. So, but to get to that stage, it took a lot of steps that I had to go through to get inspired. You see over here on this side is a wall decoration that actually mostly my daughter did, although I helped out quite a bit. Over the years, she got really good at coloring and cutting out images. And because she was ill, she was always around doing these things with me. And so then we started, after she created a few, we decided to make a big poster. And then that was the result. So, you can see cutting and pasting is, I was also participating. So the influence of doing child art and then moving into adult art is sort of lots of similarities. And in between, to go from this with her to then moving to my Smile Cloud protest works and also ones about promoting peace. It's all about promoting peace and coming together. I had to get to the smiles first, which I wasn't there at this stage. At that stage, I was just trying to figure out where I wanted to go and what did it mean to be a fine artist. I had studied illustration, and I was trying to be a fine artist when I was still living in the U.S., but for various reasons, my wheels were spinning, and I didn't eventually have time to make art, and so then here I was in Switzerland. And then I found some time for art, and I started reading about different artists, especially different female artists, and getting excited, and then also looking online. And online I started finding quite a bit. And, the internet really opened a lot of things up, and also things like Facebook and Instagram. They were really great at giving a place for people to expose, to show their art. And I was also, and still am, a member at the American Women's Club in Zurich. And I'm also a member of the Zurich International Women's Association here in Switzerland. And but at the American Women's Club, they had walls that at different times they had artists exhibit their art on the walls. And so it was a sort of a springboard for me where I was. And then eventually Dada is also from Switzerland, which was like one of my favorite art movements back at art school when I was, in the 80s in school there. And it is also, Zurich is the home of Dadaism. So Cabaret Voltaire. And so I was really, getting into everything. And actually Dadaism was coming up on their 100-year anniversary, which was also a catapult into a whole new direction. Or not direction, but a whole new development. But ultimately, when I was trying to get inspired, I was looking at different artists and different like art styles and even ways of creating art. And I had never been on a computer really with art before, so I was really getting into that, as you see here with my different techniques that I put together here, probably in a PowerPoint, to see what was possible. And ultimately, I got a studio, and my concept was to, make art and sell it, but also to get people involved. I noticed in Switzerland, a lot of people thought that they didn't have talent or they didn't feel comfortable with a brush in their hand. And so I wanted to help them to also develop and become more art friendly. And a lot of them living here had never been to certain museums. They didn't know different artists. And I was shocked that there was so much lack of information. So I wanted to do many things about it. And as I was trying to develop my others, I was also trying to develop myself. So I know I needed help with writing. So I also was wanting to do some writing. And so I first started, I think, with just going to museums. And then there was this show called Art Basel. It was a art trade event, actually. So a lot of galleries got together and they exhibit their best artists and so on and so forth. So I started going to these things, and then I started writing about them and advising, people to go to these events too. And then from there, it blossomed even more into, I went on vacation to the USA. And there was an organization called the Painting Lounge. And it's, I believe, in Brooklyn, although it might be in Queens, I can't remember now. Anyways, I took my family there, and we all painted the same painting that evening. And it's a place where you go and you have a glass of wine and you paint, with your family or friends, and have a little experience. So we decided to do, or the painting of the night was a Picasso girl reading a book or something like that. And so we all sat down and painted that painting, and it was fun. And they enjoyed it too. So then after that, I thought, well, this is really neat. And I looked around, and I didn't see that there was anything like that in Switzerland. So then I had decided, well, let me see if I can bring that here. And this was probably back in like 2013. So I first had to get the concept together, and that's when I decided to call it Just Paint, and work sort of with this image that I was already sort of creating. So it was called Just Paint, Yes You Can, Painting Adventures, No Experience Necessary. And I really enjoyed putting the concept together. So I was trying to run events in a couple of places and for different age groups. During the break time, there were a lot of like little workshops that kids could do. And so I was also targeting that. And in fact, I think the first sort of event with my Just Paint thing happened actually in a whole nother town here in Switzerland with kids. And I think I'd offered like different idol painting. So eventually, yeah, it moved into idol painting. So people that were famous that they might want to do, I kind of offered them different people that they could paint. And then it went from there. And I had to have it also in German so that the German speakers, because English was not really well spoken back then, the German speakers had to know what was going on too, so I had it in German and English. And then at various places I also had like these little booklets with details about who and what and why and things like that. And then after, I got it all somewhat organized, I had to all organized and planned out. Then I had to test out the paintings before I really decided on the final paintings. And, if I could finish a painting in like an hour and a half, then that would be like more like a 2-hour painting that somebody could do. Or if it took me 2 hours to finish it, then it would be like a 2.5 hour or a 3-hour painting. And so I was trying to also pick paintings that were easy. And I was also making sure that I wasn't using the media, the same medium that the artist was working in. So back in the day, so before the 80s, all paintings were done usually in oil paint or egg tempera. And I've never worked in egg tempera, so I have no idea how that goes. And oil painting is what I had to learn for illustration, which I thought was kind of strange because it takes forever to dry. And I mean, how can you paint in oil and then you hand it over in the old-fashioned way to be photographed and put into a image with other things? It just didn't make sense to me. And plus oil paint smells, and it's just, yeah. I mean, I like the feel of oil paint when you're painting, but to use it in a quick drying way is not practical because it doesn't dry quick. And so anyway, so I made sure that, I should say after the 80s, in the 90s is really when it started happening, that acrylic paint became a thing. Acrylic paint was a house paint before that. And then somehow in the 90s it became an actual paint and painting media that people could use, that professional artists could use, and so then it was no longer necessary to stick with oil paint. But so the first thing is I think a lot of people were concerned that there's a whole bunch of maybe how can I say it, counterfeit or forgery works out there. But if they're made from acrylic paint, then it's not from that artist. It's from a copy from today's artists. If it's in oil, then it might be from the artist. But I just want to make that clear that I really, there was no oil paint at all involved with my Just Paint paintings. And so anyway, as things progressed, I originally started doing these test ones to see how long it would take, and then there's also various sizes. There are bigger sizes and small sizes, and I tried to give a selection so that people could get choice, basically. And so at the end I had a whole bunch of different paintings, and things were going forward. I'd made up this little booklet, and I was ready to go, ready to get some maybe business. And then I had a friend who I guess she had seen some of the things that I was doing with the kids. And I mean, the real concept was to have this in the evening where you could have a glass of wine and paint and relax with your friends. But I hadn't gotten that far yet. And it was a traveling event too. So I always had to pack everything up and drive and then set everything up. And anyway, it became so encompassing that I didn't have time for my own artwork. And it wasn't bringing in money at all, actually. And it was just costing money. So ultimately, I decided to stop it. I mean, there are other reasons why, too. And I think part of the problem was it was new, and the concept wasn't working the way it was intended, which was an evening event with friends, and you get drunk a little bit and you paint. And this was mostly done during the day where people were drinking coffee. And because I was shy, I also couldn't give the presentation about the artist we were going to be working on because I just couldn't stand up in front of a group of people and talk. So there were ultimately many reasons why there were issues with me running this event the way I wanted it, because I just couldn't speak in public like that. So it's a good thing that it eventually went away. But the sad part is now all over Switzerland, especially in Zurich, there are all these little painting areas where you can go and drink a glass of wine and paint. And so the concept was there. I just didn't deliver it properly, ultimately. And I think a lot of people like the concept of painting, repainting famous works. And the concept was to do it within 2 to 3 hours. So it's not like you're there making an exact copy of the original. You were making a rough draft of a potential whatever painting or original or something like that. It was not at all detailed, is I guess what I'm trying to say. So, but like I said, it just wasn't working. And then ultimately, too, I got a feeling that I had crossed the bounds of what Europeans were accepting as far as things can go. So for multiple reasons, I ended up stopping it. But also at the same time, I had finally discovered my smiles. And I was moving into my smile cloud activities because I finally found what I thought was my voice. And I mean, not what I thought. I finally found my voice in art and how I wanted to work it. So I slowly moved away from my just paint courses, and then I moved onward to the smile clouds and to what I'm still working on now, which is Smile for Peace. It's enough already. And peace is ultimately what I'm working on. So from my Smile for Peace work, I've been focusing on peace. And as you know, again, it's all about how are you going to earn money, right? So I decided the best way to ultimately bring peace, which is really what my artwork is about, the best way to do that was to run for to be president of the United States. So, but to be president, you have to run for president. And so I ran for president in 2020. And then I ran for Congress in 2022, because in Congress is where the laws get written and things get passed. So I was thinking that would be a good spot too. And then I ran again for president in 2024. And then, as you know, I have a lawsuit pending in the Supreme Court right now about the fraud and manipulation in the election system in the USA. So I'm still going for that peace concept, bringing peace, promoting peace, and really doing it. Not just talking about it, not just making art about it, because ultimately, from my work, peace is what's needed. It's not about making art. And so I am still doing my Smile for Peace work, but in a slightly different way. And I am actually reversing a little bit and going back to the smile works. So I probably will start collecting a lot more smiles in the near future. And then I have a new project that I want to work on, where I am going to be creating a monument to women and mothers and birth and life. I guess it's really a monument to life. So that's going to be happening in the USA, in West Virginia. And that's where all of this is now going. So things are changing and growing and moving forward. But as a entrepreneurial artist, which is what I consider myself, you go forward sometimes, and then you have to take a few steps back and change your direction and go again. And this is it's like running a business. It's you never know what's around the corner, because you're doing new things. And I don't know too many artists that run for president. Anyway, so let's see what happens. But this was my painting events that I was doing, and most of the time I guess I had some children doing them, a few adults, and then it got strange because the people who were painting wanted to have the painting process drawn out. So it really moved away from that quick painting concept to a more methodical painting, so with painting lessons. So then we moved to family members and other things, and then it worked out better. So anyway, now I have learned how to talk in public. So I could get up and do a presentation about past artists, like I wanted to, but at this point my hands are filled with moving forward with my own art at this point. So that is sort of my just paint story or my evolution of moving from accepting that my daughter was okay now, that the leukemia was gone, and that I could start focusing on myself and my art and the process that got me here. And so, from the just paint works that I did, it was nice to also go back and refocus on different artists and their techniques and the styles of the years, from Dadaism, Surrealism, Impressionism to pop art and beyond. I sort of gave myself an art history lesson through all of it too. And so it was all good and inspiring is what it was. And I think not only did I inspire myself with everything, but I think I inspired a lot of young people to know about artists and to experience doing art and having success in doing art, because it's really about that, the yes you can, because so many people thought that they couldn't, and I showed them that they could. So ultimately it was a inspiration for them too. And so anyways, that is where we are and where I am with my art. And so I'm still working on peace between people of different religious beliefs and non-religious beliefs. And that's why too, on my Facebook pages and all my pages, you often see me writing about religions and beliefs and things of that nature, because I don't think you hear enough of the atheist side of it all. So I have to be the voice of atheism. And I hope it doesn't bother you, because I just I need to have my voice heard too. So there we go. All right. Thank you for stopping by. This is my art state of my art talk for this week, and soon I'll have to put one out for this coming week. So I'll maybe show you some more works that I have in here that you might be interested in. And I guess that's about it. So thank you for stopping by. I am Maud in Art, also known as Susan Maud Buchser-Lochocki, a presidential candidate. And I wish you a good day wherever you are. Bye for now.